Jordan Walker says, Jazz interested in Podcast P. The Sixers have shown interest in a potential deal with the Utah Jazz that includes Paul George and trading down to the 5th overall pick in the 2025 draft. Andy Blarson said on the Locked On Jazz podcast. Now, okay, the way this is written is strategic by putting a potential deal that includes Paul George at the top of the paragraph. But realistically, it is nothing more than a guy on a podcast that said, I think the 76ers are interested in trading down to number 5 if they can get off of the Paul George deal. Yeah, no shit. Well, not no shit. I mean, I'd be interested in that too. Everyone would be interested in that. I think in the Sixers fan base. I don't think Daryl Morey's interested in that because I think Daryl Morey's interested in proving to everybody that the Paul George signing was a good signing. But basically, how would a dude on the Locked On Jazz podcast know anything about what Daryl Morey is thinking? The Philadelphia 76ers are interested. I think he meant to say Sixers fans are interested in trading down to number 5 if they can get off of the Paul George deal. If he had some kind of inside information and I don't know, dude, somebody talked to somebody that talked to somebody that talked to Daryl Morey, and yeah, but this is basically just a guy on a podcast that gave his opinion. When do I get one of these, by the way? Philly Sixers Galaxy, when do I get a post, man? When the content is when we're in the dead season, like the middle of August, and you need some action. Why don't you just take some opinion that I gave and quote it and put it on Twitter as an official report? I do think it's true that the Philadelphia 76ers are interested in trading down to number 5 potentially if they can get off the Paul George deal. So I think and potentially and if, a lot of filler words there. I don't think the Jazz are going to take that offer. So yeah, I mean, he's straight up, the Jazz are not interested in that, So the Jazz interested in Podcast P, that is not true at all. He literally says right there, I don't think the Jazz are going to take that offer, but I do think that's an offer that's been presented. He thinks the 76ers actually offered that. Now here's what's going to happen. People are going to take a post like this, and they're going to run with it. And this is going to get posted everywhere, but really it was just a guy on Locked On Jazz podcast that said he thinks it's true that the 76ers would trade down to number 5 if they could get off the Paul George deal. But Daryl Morey has given us nothing to make us think that that's anything that he's interested in doing. A shooting guard is unplayable in the NBA without any pick and roll running skills. VJ has 0 skills that a shooting guard should have. VJ is so unskilled as a shooting guard. Yeah, these kids are 18 years old, man. You're not breaking news that 18-year-old players need to develop into NBA stars. Yes, correct. 18-year-old players are prospects with potential. You draft those players, and they take 5 to 7 years, even 10 years, to develop into stars. Does anybody even remember Jalen Brunson being drafted? He became a star literally at 27 years old, 28 years old. Yes. A lot of these 18-year-old kids have potential and lack these skills at this point because of their age and the fact that they need to develop. Correct. I agree. Who's saying things that make sense in the chat? Let's look for that. I would do Podcast P and the number 3 pick for John Collins, Colin Sexton, and the number 5 pick. But of course, I doubt Utah does this. Yeah, it depends how much Danny Ainge really wants. Ace Bailey. But I mean, you could look, if the Sixers wanted to get off the Paul George contract, it's not that crazy because if you look at a team like the Utah Jazz and how they don't seem to have a plan to try to win anytime soon, which is the type of team that would be interested in drafting Ace Bailey because he's not going to help you win anytime soon. He's too young. He's going to possibly develop into a star. So a team like the Utah Jazz that have just been trading players away, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, collecting draft picks, it would make sense for them to want to draft a player like Ace Bailey who has star potential 5-10 years down the line. At which point, it wouldn't hurt that team to take on the final 3 years of a Paul George contract. It does make sense. It's not like, oh, the Jazz don't want that contract. Why would the Jazz care about their cap space for the next 3 years? And honestly, the Paul George contract becomes very tradable with 1 year left on it. So really, you're taking on 2 years of max money to go up in the draft and get the guy that you think can become a star in the next 5 to 8 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's really not that crazy for the Jazz to be interested in that. But I don't think Daryl Morey is interested in doing it because I think Daryl Morey is interested in saving his reputation. And the only way to do that is to prove to everybody that this was a good signing. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Shout out to Lord Brunson. Here's what Jake Fisher put out today or yesterday. Today. The Sixers are signaling to rival teams that they will listen to trade offers on the 3rd overall pick up until they're on the clock in next week's NBA draft. Now, here's what they posted on Twitter, and then I have the actual article because he said something else about the 76ers in the article that he wrote. Among the various challenges in pinpointing the order from numbers 3 to 8, league sources say is the uncertainty emanating from Philadelphia and Charlotte. Sources say that the Sixers and Hornets have signaled to rival teams that they will listen to trade offers up until they're on the clock. I do find it interesting, and I think it's a fact. I think that Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper are the only solidified talents in this draft that are probably definitely going number 1 and number 2. I'm not even 100% that Dylan Harper's going number 2, but I'm 98% that Dylan Harper's going number 2. I'm 100% Cooper Flagg's going number 1. I'm 98% Dylan Harper's going number 2. I was 90% on Ace Bailey at number 3. I thought he was a lock, and then I thought after pick 3 was kind of up in the air. But I'm getting to the point with, the no draft workouts, and he is working out for the Sixers on Friday. He's meeting with the Sixers tomorrow, Ace Bailey is, and he's working out for the Sixers on Friday. So we'll get, some workout footage, and we'll get some interviews, and we'll get some quotes on how the 76ers felt about his workout, and then, we'll have a totally different opinion right before the draft next week. But I was 90% Ace Bailey was number 3. But all the stuff that's been coming out about how interested the 76ers are possibly in VJ Edgecombe, it's not a lock anymore, and now mock drafts have straight up VJ Edgecombe going number 3. It's kind of 50-50 at this point. And I know all my comments every day on here, on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever are, it seems like the fan base is basically locked on Ace Bailey, and the fan base isn't really understanding where all this discourse is coming from, and then they're getting mad at me for reacting to it, which, by the way, I think it's hilarious how angry people get if you have the audacity to create YouTube videos. People are so pissed at me every single day for hitting that upload button, just reacting to a rumor or whatever. I mean, bro, just change the channel. You know what I mean? It's wild to me that they're like, bro, stop saying this bullshit. The Sixers are taking Ace. But I'm being serious. I think people are getting upset because people have settled in on the Ace Bailey pick, and they don't want to hear that it's possibly somebody else. They don't want to think about the 76ers possibly passing on Ace Bailey. But I do realistically think it's up in the air at this point.